Let's have a go at this exam style question. The question says, Figure 1 shows the amount of blood glucose in a person before, during and after a meal. And then we have a figure 1 showing blood glucose levels. Part B says, explain what happens to the glucose between points B and C. And there are 3 marks available. Let's start by identifying the command word in this question. I can see the command word is over here and it's the word explain. So we need to give a reason for the changes in blood glucose levels shown between points B and C in the graph. Now let's have a look at the question just to unpick a bit more of the information. We've got the term blood glucose level up here. Let's remind ourselves of what that is. That's the amount of glucose found in the blood at a given time. And the graph we can see on the x-axis here we've got time, on the y-axis we've got blood glucose. We've also got a dotted line across here, and that's indicating the normal level of blood glucose level in a healthy person, which is about 90 milligrams per deciliter. So the graph is essentially showing us how the blood glucose level changes when a person eats a meal. And the question is asking us to explain what is happening between points B and C. And I can see that the line is sloping downwards from B to C, which tells me that during the time from B to C, the blood glucose level is decreasing. And it's decreasing quite a lot because it's actually going from about, if I read off that point there, it's about 150 milligrams per deciliter, all the way down here, which is just below 80 milligrams per deciliter. So in our answer, we need to say that the blood glucose goes down and then say why. Now, to explain why, we need to recall the name of the hormone responsible for controlling blood glucose, and hopefully you'll remember that's insulin. So insulin triggers cells in the liver and muscles to take up glucose from the blood, so the blood glucose level drops. So let's have a go at putting an answer together. And in our answer, we need to cover what happens to the glucose between points B and C, so a description. We then need to name the hormone, which is insulin, and then we need to say what that hormone does, which is trigger the cells to take in more glucose from the blood. So let's start by saying between B and C, the blood glucose decreases. Good to use words like decreases rather than goes down. It's more scientific. Decreases due to the release of, here comes the hormone insulin. Now I need to say what that does, which triggers cells to take up glucose and so blood glucose decreases. Or you could say the levels drop. So we've got 3 marks. The first mark is going to be saying what happens. So between B and C, the blood glucose decreases. Second mark for saying that the hormone responsible, which is the release of the hormone insulin. Third mark for saying what insulin does, which is to trigger the cells to take up glucose, so the blood glucose decreases. And that's your 3 marks.